So who started the asmi the nafaka latavra? He pulled out of nowhere a receipt that he paid. Amar Rav Chama, agvuye loy magvinim lay. We can't mon him for the money because the Maisi is pulling out a shayver. Mikra, however, we're not going to rip up the chayv like karina lay. Well, the Gemara explains why not. Agvuye loy magvinim lay the nafak tavra la. The reality is he's pulling out a receipt. Mikra like karina lay favos nesh. Why not? The chigadli asked me since it's very suspicious. Going to wait till the Yisayim get much older. Dilma Maisa Raya. Maybe they're going to bring out a Raya, Mari lay. And they're going to make a race on this whole shayver. Amalei of Achabe, the Rav Larvini told him, Hilchas Amai. What is the halacha regarding all these 4 incidents with Rav Chama? Amalei Bekulu, the first 3 Hilchas of Rav Chama Bar, the last scenario. Why not? Mitava the Sadi B'Shakri Lo Mechazakinon. That means to say is, Rav Chama is basically saying, we know Pish Naim Eidim Yakum Davar. This person's coming with a receipt that has 2 signatures. How in the world can we say it's Mezuyif? Because you know why? Rav Chama Chas V'Shalom was not saying Eidim HaShakronim. That's Simon HaTorah. Dem Isa de Tavra Ma'al Yehu. If it's so, we have such a bad race. There's such a bad race that he didn't pull out the start till now. The receipt. Which means to say is it's far-fetched. But we're going to come and say that what? That the Eidim signatures are forged. Not Chas V'Shalom to say the Eidim HaShakronim. That was the machlokes. If the halachas of Chama, we're about to start the Mishnah, Zayin Amud Beis, the halachas of obligating people HOA fees, resident fees, citizen fees, v'chulei, boots. Let's see it right inside. Koifin Oisai, Zayin Amud Beis, the Mishnah. Koifin Oisai, Livnois Beishar, Delas Lechotzer. The halacha is you can force everyone to pay to chip in for the Beishar. It's the entrance. Videlas for security Lechotzer. Shim Galil Aimer, we're going to see in the Gemara why not, which scenario is not. Loikal Chatzeris, Ruiz Lebeishar. Not all chatzers you can obligate me to chip in for the Beishar. Another halacha is Koivin Oisel V'Nois Leir. Choyma, Dawson V'Riach. We can make everyone pay for the wall, for the hinges and everything else in the doors. Rav Shimon and Gamliel Aimer again. Loi kol hayaros ruis l'chayma. Not every single city is mechuyev to pay for the border. Another halacha is Kami Yeveir V'Yekancher. Yud Beis Chodesh. How long do you have to be to consider that something you want to pay, that I have to pay for the walls of the city? The halacha is Yud Beis Chodesh 12 months. Kanaba Beis Dira. The halacha is someone who buys an apartment. We're going to see in the Gemara about this. Hareu Kancher Miyad. He immediately becomes part of the city. Zok the Gemara. Remember, we just said that Koivin Oisel Beishar. Is that true? Remember the Beishar Mal Yusi, famous Ma'asav Ahu Chasida. There was this Chassid Avarogul Elio, the Hav Mishtoi by Day. Elio would always go visit him and handle with him, learning. Ovid Beishar Visu Loi Mishtoi by Day. They built up the Beishar, and the problem was suddenly he stopped showing up. So how could our Mishnah tell us that a Beishar you could force me? Fan for the Gemara Loi Kasha. Now I made a simon to myself. All there's 4 terutzim and there's ha. Every second ha is going on the Mishnah. Ha is going on the Brisa, and the second ha is going on the Mishnah. Loi kasha. Ha migavoy, the case we were talking about with this chassid, what happened was, since they built the Beishar, the Aniyim couldn't reach the people inside. There was another barrier which stopped them from hearing them. And that was the Reyes on him. Ha mivaroy, our Mishnah is talking about where it's outside, where it's not a problem. They can approach the Chatzar. V'ibasema, another teretz says you can say him to Salayim Havav Mivaroy, they're both outside, and still not a kasha. Like kasha, there's Ladelis, if it has a door. Our Mishnah is talking about the less Ladelis. When there's a Delis, they refrain from opening the door, they stare. Memela, the halacha, that was the scenario with the chassid. Iba same another teretz says, Hava dis Ladelis. They both have a door. Like kasha, hadis lepasachas. One has a thing that you have to open the door. Our Mishnah is the less lepasachas. Again, it all has to do that Taniyim shtarzich. Iba same hava hadis lepasachas. Like kasha. Again, the Bryce is talking about the case of the chassid. The pasachas di demigavoy. It only opens from the inside for the city, for the people that live in there. The pasachas di demivaroy. Our Mishnah is talking about the Aniyim have no problem just opening it up and walking right in. Let's continue. Weiter. Koifin Oisel Livnois Beishar Delas Chatzar. We forced the island to build these stuff. Tanya, like we just saw in the Mishnah, rather L'Chatzar Hasmucha L'Shusar Rabim Rui L'Beishar. The She'ena Smucha L'Shusar Rabim Eina Rui L'Beishar. That means to say is as follows: you have a L'Shusar Rabim. You have a large courtyard. To make it easier, in Muncie we find that very common. There's a bunch of multifamily houses. Make it easier. There's 4 multifamilies. There's 2 in the back and there's 2 in the front. So Zoktav Shimon Gamliel, only the 2 in the front need the Rishus Harabim. The 2 multifamilies in the back do not need it. They're not royal Beishar. They don't need it. V'Rabbanan, Wapshar Rabbanan is Mechayiv. Everybody says Zimdin the Dachi Bnei Rishus Harabim. They're all going to go into the Mavui. V'Ayil V'Asu. Therefore, there's a hezek. Koifin Oisoi Livnois Leir Mechayiv. Everyone to build for the city. a wall. Reb Shimon Gamliel again the same concept. Loi kol hayarais, not all cities ruis l'chayma. El ir asmuch l'svar. If it's next to the border, it makes sense. You need it. Rui l'chayma shein asmuch l'svar. Deep villages, much deeper into the border. Don't need it. Ain't rui l'chayma. Rabbanan. What's Rabbanan going to say that everyone's chayiv again? Zimnun the mikriv asi guys. So sometimes soldiers are going to go all the way into the other villages. Therefore, everyone's obligated to pay. Now in Kshen Goyven, we got it. Everyone has to chip in. The question is how we chip in. Do we say Lefin Nefashis Goyven, which means to say is we're worried that they're going to come and murder everybody. Therefore, a family that has more Nefashis has to pay more. Idilma, they're coming for the money. So the richer you are, the more you have to pay. Lefi Shvach Malman Goyven. Amalei Lefi Malman Goyven. The answer is because they're coming for the money. Therefore, the richer you are, the more you have to pay. For Elazar Beni, and he says, my son Elazar, make sure cover by Masmears. And here it makes a lot of sense. He's going against the richies. So he wants to make sure that they shtel too. We're talking about the borders. The people right on the towns that are on the border should have to pay more, or the houses even. The people that are right next to the border must pay more because those are the first houses to get invaded. Again, Elazar Beni said cover by Masmears. Now we're going to go through a little Agadah, tiny bit. We're going to get much more later on. We're going to talk about taxes to obligate Talmidei Chachamim if they have to pay taxes. More than taxes, if they have to pay stuff for Shmirah. Now we're going to start talking about the wall, which is the purpose of putting on the walls for Shmirah. Let's see it inside. Rabbi Yehuda Nisia Rama the Shura Darbanan. He made the Rabbanan chip in for the Chayim Seir, just like everybody else. Amar Shlakish Rabbanan, they don't need a Shmirah. Like Tzichin and Terusa. How do we know this? He says the Chsev stands in the Pasuk in Tehillim. Esperim, if I would count it, Mechol Yirbun, there will be more like the sand. Esperim Laman, what are we talking about counting? We're talking about that what? If we would count it, Tzadikim, there will be more like the sand of the beach than Efishi Mechala. Is that really true? Hashta Kuli Yisrael, the whole entire Klai Yisrael, Ksivu Kechol Hashel Svasayam. Us Klai Yisrael is considered like the whole sand on the beach. Tzadikim Atma, which is such a less percentage-wise, you're going to tell me Mechol Yirbun? That can be. Elohachi Karma, this is what it's saying. Esper L'Masayim Shel Tzadikim, if we would count the Maisim of Tzadikim, Shem Merubim, that Mechol Yirbun, that the more than the sand, the Kavachayim. We're going to make a Kavachayim. It's not Mefesh on the Pasuk. That what? Umachol Shemut Megan Alayam. Every time you go to an ocean, there's sand protecting the ocean. Masayim Shel Tzadikim, which is much more than Chol. Shem Merubim, like Chol Shekain Shemaginim Alayim. Therefore, I don't need taxes. Gasuk when they're Yachan Amalei, my time will Timel Maha. Chaba Mefesh Tika Pasuk, Ani Chayma Vesadik Migdalis. We say this. And our Shabbos at the end of Shir Shir, Mama's the last parak. That what? Ani Chayma this was Zu Taira. It's talking about the Tamidei Chachamim. So you clearly see that what? That Torah is a Shmirah, is a Chayma. For the Gemara, he didn't learn this pasuk like that. He learned the pasuk Ani Chayma. V'shada K'midayla says Ani Chayma Zu Knesset Yisrael. V'shada K'midayla says what? Elu Bate Knisiyah is Bate Midrashas. Therefore, he had to come on to Kavachayim. He couldn't come on to an explicit pasuk. The Gemara continues, Rav Nachman Rav Chazda Rama Kargadar Banan. He made them pay the head tax. Amalei Rav Nachman Rav Yitzchak Arvarta Daraisa Vadinavi Vadiksuvi over everything. Let's go through it. Adaraisa Dechsev state in the Torah Av Choyvev Amim. Even when the Rebbeinu Shalom Kaviyachol gives to the other nations that we're in Galus, they're going to take control of us. Still, Kol Kedaishav, and we're playing there's a lot of drush going on. Kol Kedaishav, which is the tzaddikim. Biyadecha. There, the Rebbeinu Shalom has them in his hands. Still, Kol Kedaishav Yiyu Bedecha. They're going to be in the Rebbeinu Shalom's hands, and they don't need to have to pay anything. Veheim, the pasuk for Zeis. Veheim tukul reglecha. And what's Tadi Rav Yosef? He learns that what's it mean? Tukul reglecha elu tamidei chachamim shemechatzim regleim meir leir. They go from village to village, city, medina, lil matayra. Then the pasuk fears, Yisa midbar resecha. That what? Lisa elitein to handle the Torah. So we clearly see from the Torah that they don't need to pay anything. Because why? Because Rebbeinu Shalom has them in biyadecha. Ad the Nevi, the Chsiv says, also a drush in the pasuk, Gam ki yitnu bagoyim. Even when they go assimilate Rahman al-Litzlan, still we're going to gather them now. The Yichlu Matmi Masa Melch V'Sar are no longer going to have to pay any type of taxes. V'Ama Ula Pasuk Zebeloshan Aramis now. He makes a drush out. He says as I Itni Kuluf Etnu Kuluf. Everyone learns Torah. Then Ata Kapsim. Meaning going to get out of Golas. Ben Vem Atmehem. Like today, where there's only Tamidei Chachamim that are learning. they should be what? That they don't need any more taxes or anything else. And that was the Nevi. And we're going to see the tight words in a minute. We don't force you to pay it. What and what is this? What is minda? It's the portions of the government property. It's what the government wants you for the money. Beloi zu kesef golgota, again, which is head taxes. V'halach zu arnaina, so we call it the arnaina is the property taxes. But Rashi says it's for the masim, that for the tuas and behema that they all have to pay. Again, so we clearly see that what the Nevi and the Chsuvin that writes. So let's go weiter. Papa Rama Karya Chadasa Yasmi. Rab Papa was mechayiv that what to pay for the well to fill up water. He on the assignment. Amalav Shisha Beider Avidi Rab Papa V'Dimalay Midvol. There's still a very high chance, whatever chances there are, that you're not going to get water out of the well. So Amalei, no problem. Inachanami. Mishkol sheklinim, and I take the money and I don't use it. I return it to him. I put an escrow account. Everyone has to pay for the shar chaimas, even Yisayimim. They don't need a shmira. Again, I call the karipasa, which is the well. Afilim rabbanon v'loy amaron that rabbanon chayiv. Elo deloy nafki bachluza. That's when they don't themselves go out and do the work. They hire laborers. Avanafki bachluza, if the village themselves has to go out, Rabbana lab name mepak bachluza ninu pasnish Rabbanon to start doing such malachas. Rebbe, we're going to go through again more. Got the Rebbe pasach etzaros b'shani b'tzayros. It was famine years. It was hunger. It was terrible economy. He opened up the warehouses, and what happened was there wasn't enough to feed everybody. So who was on top of the line? Tamid Chachamim. He said, "You can't bale mikra, bale mishnah, bale gemara, bale alocha, bale godo. Aval amei oretz, all you can't, they can come in." Dochak Rabbi Yonasan ben Amr ben Nichnas. He disguised himself like a regular ani. He didn't want to use the schos of Torah. Amalei Rabbi Panaseni, feed me please. I'm hungry. Amalei b'ni, my son. Karis, Amalei lav. Shani sulim mishnayis Amalei lav. In Cain, how could I feed you? B'ma Panasecha. Amalei Panaseni, like a dog. V'chel chayriv herach manasami. No different than an animal. So Parnasei. When I see he had Rachmanis and he fed him. Busted the Nafak. After he left, he had Charata right away. Yosef Rebbe come and star. V'omar oili shenasati pitel amaretz. I give the bread to amaretz. Omar lefanav Shema Rebbe Shema Yonasan ben Amr. Maybe it was really Yonasan ben Amr who's your Talmid Chu. She'eina right. Eina right. Zil hanis mekav Torah. Miyamav and Batku Taka. What happened? They checked it out. Ashkach. They investigated. That's what happened. Omar Rebbe, you can't so call. Then he realized that the Talmid Chacham. What are they going to do? They're going to all not want to come in to use Chus HaTorah. He said everybody could come in. Rabbi Tamei, Rabbi that didn't let Regla Amei Aratzim come in, it was for himself. He was coming. We had a reason. Rabbi, Ein Paran is Bala Ilam Shulam Haaretz. We're going to find this Ma'aseh who to make Kalila the Shadi Atferia. The king wanted to build a beautiful crown. He manded Tferia to chip in and pay for it. Also, the Rabbi, the town went over to Rabbi and said, "Please pay us. Amalei Leiser Rabban Abadan, chip in. Where are you guys? Amalei Loi, we don't have to pay." So they threatened their Rabbanan. Amrulei Araikinon. We're going to leave. They answered back, "No problem. Enjoy, leave, Araiku." So Arku, Palgeya, and half of them book city. Diluya Palga. So the taxes got slashed in half and made everyone else pay. Asahani Palga. Again, the other half comes to the Rebbe. Palga can make the Rebbe. Amalei Leiser Rabban Abadan. Chip in. Amalei, we're not paying. Araikinon, we're going to leave. No problem. Araiku, leave. Arku Kulu, Pashu Kaivis, accept this Kaivis. So Shadua Kaivis. Ara Kaivis, he saw his bill, he went running. And Paka Kalila, what happened was we mevatel the tax. Amir Rebbe Risam She'ein Puranis Bala Ilam El B'Shvi Lame Aretz. I'd kind of got it for now. We said in the Mishnah V'Kami Avivia Kanchir. We said 12 months. For Ekta Gemara, meaning you have a brisa that says Hachameres the Dunkin' Jarvis Agamelis. Hi Veris Mimakam Lamakim. We're talking about Irnei Dachas Rachmana Tzlam. The whole entire town does it by the Zar. The halacha is they get killed b'saif, and we have to burn all their possessions. However, if they're not part of the village and they just came in and they're Ovid of the Zara, they get skila and we save their money. Hachamer, so let's see it inside. Hachamer goes between every place. They fell along and they ended up doing it by the Zara. The halach is heim b'skila. They don't get saif, they get skila. My mind and pilot, we save their money. This is the kasha shleishim yoim, not 12 months. They're no different than heim b'saif. They lose the money. Amarava like kasha. What's the kasha? The Mishnah says 12 months. We see by Aaron and Dachas 30 days. There's a chiluk between a citizen and a resident. Even today, citizen has more rights. Over there, we're talking about a permanent resident. Someone that says, I don't want to have any anah from the Anshe here, then you need 12 months. That's a citizen. However, if he says in his neder, which is only resident, then that's why it's not a shver. Our Mishnah is talking about a permanent citizen. Is that really true? We need Binon. Yud Beis Chodesh Vatanya says Shloishim Yoim l'Tamchoy. As long as you're there for 30 days, you have to pay for the Tamchoy, for the Kupa. For the soup kitchen. Shloish Chadashim, you have to pay the Kupa. Shisha is for the Ksos, Tisha is for the Kvura, for Chetzo Shalames. And then it says, only then, Shneimasa Lefasir, only after 12 months do you pay for the walls of the city. Amar Vasi and Chanami. Our Mishnah is not talking about the Tamcha and the Kupa. What are we talking about? Amar Rav Yochanan, Ki Tanan Masnisin, Shneimasa Lefasir Tanan. That's our Mishnah is talking about. Weiter. Amar Vasi, Amar Yochanan, Kol Lefasir, everyone has to pay the chip in for the walls. Afilu mi ask me even from Yisayim Rabbana loy. Why not? They're Rabbana like Tzrichin and Terusa. They don't need a shmura. They don't need a shmira. Amar Papa. However, the Shura, which is the people that fix up the wall, Tikkun Chaim Rashi says, so the people on the horseman, Litaniza for the booth and all the weapons. Afilu mi ask me take from Yisayim Rabbanon. Loy, why not? Like Tzrichin and Terusa, they don't need shmira. Klol the misla to make it easier. The klal is kol milso the isla anami. Then afilu miyasmi. If the Yisayim can have a na, then you take it away from Yisayim. If they're not going to have a na, it's also to take it with them. Rabbanan, anything to do with the velt of shmira, they don't need a shmira. Rebbeinu Shalom takes care of them. Rabba Rama Tztaka Yasmi. Rama took tztaka from who? The Yisayim of who? The Beit Bar Miriam, very wealthy person, left over a massive Yerusha. What did Rabbi do? He took money and he started paying out people that needed it. Even Pidyon Shum, which you're going to see in the Gemara in a moment, which is the most chash of a mitzvah, he still don't take it from Yisayim. I did it to make them consider chashiv, to make them look. We all know when people pay money, they get on boards, they become powerful and more chashiv. That's why I took money from them. Ifra Hormiz, who was Omer's Ima the Shavar Malko of the king of Shavar. We're going to see this Maisa later on with 400 dinari, which is 10,000 dinar. We're going to see the Maisa later on. But over here, she sent money. And Rashi over there says that there's a problem. Gnevis Das, he has to give the money to tzedakah. Shadar Anarchy, the dinner lekamei, the Rav Yosef. She sent over a large sum of money. And Amra, she left a message to say, Lahav the mitzvah rabbah. It should be for a mitzvah rabbah. Yosef Rav Yosef Kamayim, but my mitzvah rabbah, what is this mitzvah rabbah we're talking about? Amal Abayim and Tani Rishmo Yehuda in Paiskin Stakale Saimim. Alafilu opinion Shmuim Shmam. You know that what Pidyon Shmuim mitzvah rabbi. We're now in Chesam and Beis. We clearly see that what Pidyon Shmuim is the most gracious mitzvah. Amale Ravale Rabba Barmari Minaha Mosa the Amrabon and the Pidyon Shmuim mitzvah rabbi. How do we know the Pidyon Shmuim is a big mitzvah? Amale Dechsev V'Yaya Kiyai Mirai Lacha. There's a pasuk of Yirmiyah. When we're leaving, he's telling their Bnei Shalom, and the Bnei Shalom is telling Yirmiyah, you know what you should tell them? When they ask, Anon Eitzei, you should tell them, Amarta Leim, Koi Amar Hashem, this is what the Bnei Shalom says, Ashel Amavis Lamavis, whoever's going to die is going to die. V'Ashel Acherev Lacherev, whoever's going to die, B'Sov Ashel Arav L'Rav, B'Hung V'Ashel Hashevi L'Shevi. V'Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Amocha B'Pasik Zek, Koshem Mechaveiroi. And what was the last one? Shevi. Let's go through it. Cherev, Koshem Mavis, Ibasem Akrai, Ibasem Svara. Ibasem Svara that it's worse than Mavis. High kaminvil, it's very not pleasant. The high low kaminvil to get beheaded. The Ibasem Akrai, state in Pasuk in Tehillim. Yokar be'ena Hashem hamavsal chasidov. Like we're going to see the end of the parak in Yizayim and Aleph with Miriam Moshe Rabbeinu how they died in Shikas Maves. With the Shika, it's the most nicest way to die. Ra'av Koshem Icher Ibasem Svara, Ibasem Akrai, Ibasem Svara. High kamitztar, I like kamitztar. Takes very long to die from hunger. Cherev is very quick. Ibasem Akra, Toivim Hayu Chali Cherev from what? Michali Rav. However, Shevi Koshem Mikulam, the Kula Isnubei, like Rashi says, they have the Kech to do whatever they want. Rahman al-Islam, today's day and age, we know it more and more about what's going on with Shevi. How gefarlich it is. Tana Rabbanah, let's go back to Kumashot Staka. The halacha is Nigves B'Shnaim. We collect it. You need to have two people. However, mischalekes, when we divide it, we do it like a bezin needs three people. Shleisha niggas b'shnayim, shein oisin shroris al etzibur. They can't have any authority. We're going to see in a moment what is already the power that they have. Pachas mishnayim, u'mischalekes, we divide it b'shleisha gedinim amonis. Tamchoi, however, nigvis b'shleisha, even though theoretically you only need two, but it's nigvis b'shleisha. I'm going to see why. Mischalekes b'shleisha. Why? Shegvuyo v'chaluka shavin. The turnaround time is so quick that we're worried that if you can only take two people, that's the halacha, and you need three people to split it. They're going to be plenty of times where the third person's missing. You have to call him, he's not around, and like that, the turnaround time ends up schlepping out. Since it's such a quick turnaround, it's much easier to make it that 3 people need it in the beginning. Like that, there's no bumps along the way. Tamchoy, the soup kitchen is b'chol yoy. Kupa, kupara ir, time chashabes, me'er Shabbos, le'er Shabbos. Tamchoy, la'niya oilam, kupa, la'niya ir. Verashoyim, b'nei ir, lasses kupa, tamchoy, they can flip it around. Tamchoy kupa, the soup kitchen for the kupa, l'shanoisa, l'chamash yirtzu. Verashoyim b'nei ir, another nekuda the Rashoyim b'nei ir to do. Lahas nois alamidois. They could decide, lahagdil sayes ir, lahaktin, Rashi says. Vala sha'arim. How much the sharchitin is, how much the prevailing wage is. And not only that, we can find the people that don't listen to these rules. And the Gemara in the Testament is going to talk about this. We don't do any type of authority under 2 people. Not immediately, we don't know this. Like it says in the Torah regarding the Beis Hamikdash, and they're going to take Loshen Rabim Haim, they're going to take the gold. Shroris, the Gazuk Gemara, however, it's only because of authority. It's nothing to do with Namanis. Namanis, we believe even one. We're going to see a Maisa Shroris with the Le'abdi, Hemunim, how many believe Messiah, Chanino, Chanino, Maisa Mina Rebbe Shnei Achin. So if it has to do with Namanis, it can be 2 brothers apostle Eidos. Elamai has nothing to do with Namanis. Alakupa, Maisha Rusa. Frektimar, what is this authority already? Dam Rav Nachman, Ravuah, Lefish, Shemim Mashkanin, Alet Stokov, Afil of Shabbos. So knows money, it's stuck, he has a pledge. You could even go in Erev Shabbos, and Rashi says when you can start saying now he's busy. Alpha PK, we take a mashkin away from him. I'm going to visit, I'm going to give evil to people that what? I'll call the chayts of all the oppressors. So how could he tell me Gabit Stuck has a right to walk over and grab a mashkin? When he's rich, we could force a mashkin. What is the pasuk of Akati Kol HaChaytzav talking about when he's not rich? That's when we have that pasuk going on. He was convinced Rav Ami to pay. He was able to take away from him 400 zuzi for tzedakah. Now we're going to continue with that gat. The state v'amaskilim yaziru k'zayir kiyah. The people that are wise, the chachamim, they're going to shine bright like the Zayir Akiyah. Who is this? A Dayan, Shadon, Din Emes Lamitoy. It's a Dayan, stays true to his way. Then it says in the pasuk, Umatztika Rabim, it's the continuation of the pasuk, Ki chachavim Lailam Vayed. They're going to shine like stars forever. Who is this? Eil Gabit Tzedakah. And the Rishonim explained that the chachavim only shine at night. So too Balei Tzedakah, they only give it at night. Like that, it could be discreet. What's to say? The Chachamim, they're going to shine like the Zerakiah. Who is that? The Dayan Shadan Din Emes Lamida. The Gabit Tzedakah. They put in part of that pasuk. Umatztike Harabim Ki Chachamim La'ilam Va'ed. Who's the Matztike Harabim? That's Elam Elamdi Tinoikis. Who is this like? You're going man. Amirav Ki going to Shmuel Bashilas. The Rav Ashkeche one time found Shmuel Bashilas. The Avakai begins. He was in his garden. You forgot about your Talmidim. What happened to them? So Shaila had to read if it's 13 years that he didn't see the garden, and 13 years that he already hasn't seen his Talmidim. And Alpha Peking, my thoughts are on them. Rabbanon, what's Rabbanon? What's the light of the Rabbanon? What are we left with? My Amar Avina Ayavav, which is Rabbanon, Kitseis Hashemesh, Big V'rasai. At the spitz time when the sun is shining, that's the best light. Turn Rabbanon. Right, the Gabit Stock in Rishon for them is that. Gabit Stock is not let us separate. Now let it go different ways. Why? Because of a chashash. So people shouldn't be chayshish them. Ava pirates, because again, if it's only one person, they might do stuff. Ava pirates, as long as you're within reasonable vicinity, it's fine. Matzah mais, again, we're going to give halachas about the Gabait Tzedakah, what he should do in certain cases. Matzah mais b'shuk, he finds money in the shuk. Lo yitnei b'tachkisa, you don't put it in his own wallet. Ela nice, and what do you do with it? L'tach arnakin shel tzedakah. Uchlashiyav l'beis, when he goes to his house, yitlein. Ke yitzabay, and nice b'chaver, someone owns the money, far b'shuk, lo yitnu lenu l'tachkisa. What do you do? Nice and l'tach arnakin shel tzedakah. Uchlashiyav l'beis, again, yitlein. Like that, no one's going to suspect him for anything. Tana Rabbanan. Now you're left with a bunch of copper coins. They're going to get rusty. You got to get rid of them. You got to flip them into silver. The halacha is part in lachem. You don't change it, do the exchange with your own money like that. People are going to say, inside job, you're hiring the prices. Rather, you do it on the outside like that. No one's suspicious. Vein part in lachma. Same thing with gabei tamcha. You're left over with food. You're going to have to get rid of it. So what do? You sell the food to other people, and you don't sell it to yourself like that. People shouldn't say that you're giving yourself a better deal. Like Rashi says, like that, everyone can see how clean your beam. Amar Abaye Mereish La Yavi Yosef Mar, who's Mar Rabbi, he wouldn't sit on the tzipah the Bekanishna, he wouldn't use the mats of the shul. Even the Shama Laha, once he heard the Tanya, this Bryce that says they could do whatever they want with the money. Havi Yosef, Rabbi would sit on the mats. Oh, Mar Mereish Havi Mar Trey Kisi. He would have two separate stocking pouches. Chalani Adama, Chalani Adamasi. They don't want to confuse them and split and get them mixed up. Kiva the Shama Laha Adama Rav Shmuel Rav Techliva Bar Dimi. Ovid Chakisa V'asni Allah. Iunami Ovid Chakisa V'asni Allah. What he did was, he made the same thing. He made the Tanai, and he made one pouch. Because he's able to do whatever he wants with it. Rashi Amar, I don't even have to make a Tanai with nobody that comes approaches me for money. They're coming to give it to me. And I'll give it to whoever I would like to. Now we're going to continue a Maisa with the Sheikhtim. The Sheikhtim had a union. What happened was, in those days, they didn't have refrigeration, so the basra would immediately get ruined. So there wasn't room for competition. So where they made a deal with each other that every day a different shaykhit has the schos to use, that's his day to do all the shechita. Not that, they made a deal with each other, the union, that anybody that tries to evade it and goes on his friend's day, they're going to ruin the heights. Like that, there's no hana. Like that, there's no incentive to even try to play around and shecht on your friend's day. Let's see the mice inside. Hani betray, if it's lav dafka, it's two people, it's the whole union. Tavchi, the abdi and yadav, they made a deal with each other. The choman, the avid, the yami, the chavri, anyone who goes to his friend's day and shechts, nekrul amashke, going to ruin his whole heights. Like that, he has no. Also chaminai, avid, yami, the chavri, one tried playing around. And he did on his friend's day. Karla Mashchis, they went like they said. There wasn't a threat. They taka ripped up his hides. Also made the Rav, he schlepped into Rav at the Bezdin. Chayvina Rav l'shalume. And he made them pay, even though there was agreement. Aser Rav Yem Rav Shalom the Rav. What do you mean? Well, you can make a deal with each other. Why are you mechayv him? However, Rav was quiet. And he let the din stand. It wasn't shtika kaidah, but he didn't answer back. Amra Papa Shapi Abdullah Hadalay. Midi. It's good that he didn't answer anything back. Hadi immediately when we say in the Shanas Chamashir, it says when? Heicha delek Adam Chashuv, when there's no Rava here. Abel Heicha, which is over here, which is Rava, the Ika Adam Chashuv, La'kol, Kuminai Damascus, they have no right to start making unions and deals with each other. And halacha, there's no chiv for that, therefore he was chayiv. Tana Abanim. We don't mon the gabbai, din v'cheshbon, start telling me where all the bills are. V'loi, same thing with Hegdish HaMekizbarim. They don't have to give every single, all their bills to show everything. V'afa pishein raya l'davar, zeichel l'davar. We see this by the base of Mikdash. There's no raya straight to tzedakah. Shenemar, it says, V'loi, stay down in Melachim. V'loi yichashvu es anoshim. We're not going to mon the people that want that shit. Yitnu es hakesav al-yadam, that we give them the money. Los is lois melachim, to give to all the laborers. Why? Ki be'amunah maisim, they're doing it with amunah. So we trust them fully. And Rashi's masbid, it's too much to expect such a person who's running so many different types of jobs at one time to have to give a din v'cheshbon. Even though he's Neman, you should still what? Yotzav Yimni should still count it. We see this by the base of Mikdash. That the Kohen Gadol and the Sefer would still make a cheshbon, even though we just learned a second ago. They don't need to make a cheshbon. Alpha BK, they counted it. Like that is showing the best thing that no one should be suspicious of them. Now we're going to have a shayla. If a person approaches the Gaboy stuck and says, I'm hungry, or please give me clothes, do we investigate them or do we immediately feed them or give them clothes? Amr Rav Huna, a person approaches you for money, for mezainas, we investigate if it really needs the money. However, for clothing, we give it him immediately. Let's go through the svara. Hi, come vazi. It's very embarrassing. He's not dressed properly. Whether he might be hungry, but it's not so much of a busha. State in the pasuk, I like for rice. They're learning with the same, which is shen. They're going to switch it around in a second. You're not going to give bread for the poor. And then they switch it to shin, paraish, which is perush, lashon to investigate. The first investigating see needs it. However, regarding clothing, kisera aroim. When you see a person who's not dressed, immediately give him the clothing. Review the opposite. If he asks you for clothing, that's when you investigate. If a person is hungry, we immediately feed him. Nebuch, he's hungry right now as we speak. You should give bread to the poor. Price with the samach. That means immediately. However, over there regarding the clothing, it says kisira aroim when it comes obvious, lashon passive, when it comes apparent to you that he taka needs clothing, that's when you should give it to him. Tanya Kavasi of you, they're going to bring a raya that says kasuni baitkin acharov. If he needs clothing, we immediately check. However, panasuni, if he wants him to give him panas, ain't baitkin, which is feeding him. Tanan Asam, we're going to learn continuing. A person comes to the village, now they want administrative people that run the tzedakah to give them loaves of bread. The halach is you give them a kikar, you give them a loaf of bread. When? Bepudyon. Ma'ar besoin besela, which means to say is when the price of wheat is 4 son buys a seller, and Rashi's masber comes out to really a chetzi kap, and he only needs a roiva kap. However, it costs a chetzi kap because the bakeries would have to hire the pricing, even though the price of wheat is much cheaper. You have to put in